Have you ever felt like you're constantly giving yourself to others, yet never truly feeling seen or valued? Maybe you've been the emotional rock for everyone around you, always responding, always available, always giving, but somehow you end up feeling drained, empty, and misunderstood. What if I told you that the key to reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your power lies in the art of silence and unavailability? In this video, we'll dive into why becoming less accessible, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, can be the most powerful decision you ever make. You'll discover how silence, when used consciously, is not about cowardice or withdrawal, but about mastering your energy and choosing what deserves your time. We'll explore the deep psychological wisdom of Carl Jung, who believed that true growth begins when we stop reacting to the world around us and start listening to our inner voice. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to break free from emotional manipulation, how to reclaim your energy, and why being unavailable for others can make you more valuable, respected, and whole. If you're tired of feeling like a puppet in someone else's game, keep watching. It's time to choose yourself. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. This excessive availability that so many of us cling to is far from a virtue. It's a prison, a cage of our own making. We wear this mask, believing that being accessible to everyone at every moment is what makes us worthy, needed, and loved. But the reality is, the more available you are, the more you're trapped in a cycle of manipulation and emotional exhaustion. As long as you keep thinking that your constant presence will make people love you, appreciate you, or value you, you're slowly giving away pieces of yourself, one demand at a time. Being always available might feel like a badge of honor, but in truth, it makes you predictable. And what happens when you're predictable? You become a tool. People start to use you as an emotional emergency button, only reaching out when they need attention, validation, or comfort. They press the button, you jump into action, and then, when they're done, they put you back on the shelf. They don't see you. They see what you can do for them. They don't see the weight you carry, the emotional exhaustion that's piling up, or the sacrifices you're making. All they see is what you provide for them. But you're trapped in an illusion, thinking that your availability will make someone else truly present for you. It doesn't work that way. Carl Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted and loved, the one that convinces us we need to be on for everyone all the time. This persona keeps you overly available, constantly justifying, explaining yourself, and responding, even when it's suffocating you. You bend over backward for people who don't even recognize how much you're losing in the process. The truth is, the more you place yourself in the center of everyone else's stage, the more you fade from your own. Being available all the time isn't noble. It's self-abandonment. You're seeking approval, fearing rejection, and trying to control how others see you. But this desperate need to be needed comes at an enormous cost. And that cost is your peace. It's your vitality, your energy, dispersed like it's an infinite resource, when, in reality, it's anything but. People who demand your constant availability don't want you. They want what you can give them: validation, company, a distraction from their pain. But as soon as you change, as soon as you start setting boundaries, as soon as you refuse to react, those same people will turn on you. They'll accuse you of being selfish, distant, even weird. But it's not because you've changed, it's because you stopped being useful to them. Here's the hardest truth of all. The more available you are, the less value you have in the eyes of others. What is always there, what can always be counted on, is taken for granted. What is abundant is dismissed, treated like an emotional rag, something that's just there to wipe up other people's mess. And in that moment, you need to ask yourself, who truly deserves your time? Who deserves your attention, your presence, your care? Who deserves your listening? And more importantly, who truly deserves your absence? Stop, think, reclaim your energy. Stop giving yourself away like you have an endless supply. Because the truth is, you don't. And the moment you recognize that, everything changes. Before we dive into that, there's one essential question we must address. Why do we react so much? Why do we give in so easily? What is driving this almost automatic urge to respond, justify, and please others? The answer, according to Carl Jung, lies in what he called psychic energy. And in this video, we'll explore exactly what that means. Because here's the truth. Your energy is all you truly have. If you don't learn how to protect it, someone will use it against you. Now, think about this. Are you consciously choosing where your energy goes, or are you letting the world decide for you? Every time you react impulsively, you're squandering that precious energy. When you defend yourself against a criticism that doesn't even deserve your attention, when you respond to a provocation just to prove you're right, when you get pulled into meaningless debates, or when you try to please those who don't value you, you're draining your inner strength on things that don't serve you. Jung made it clear, that which you resist persists. The more you react, the more you bind yourself to these exhausting cycles. People who live emotionally drained aren't weak. They're misdirected. And do you know what happens when you live in a constant state of emotional depletion? You become vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you're easy prey. Manipulative, opportunistic, and emotionally needy individuals can sense this. They see that you don't know how to protect your energy. They notice that you react to everything, that you're constantly trying to solve the problems of the world, and they exploit it. Jung believed that a healthy psyche understands how to keep energy within the system, one that knows when to say no without feeling guilty, when to remain silent without feeling weak, and when to observe before taking action. True power, as Jung taught, is not found in reacting. It is found in knowing when and how to act. And this kind of mastery is only possible when you know yourself well enough to recognize your impulses. It's time to stop wasting your energy and start reclaiming it. You deserve it. How many times have you lost sleep over an unresolved conversation? How many nights have you tossed and turned, ruminating on what you should have said, or trying to understand why someone treated you poorly? This, my friend, is your energy being drained without return. You're keeping alive ghosts that should have died long ago. You're feeding into dynamics that only persist because you continue to respond to them, even when they no longer serve you. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Psychic energy is like an invisible force field around you. When it's well guarded, it creates presence. You enter a room, and without uttering a word, you command respect. But when it's poorly managed, when you're constantly reacting to everything, you become invisible, fragile, and reactive. The world has no mercy for those who give in too easily. So, it's time to start observing your triggers. What makes you react automatically? What pulls you out of your center? These are the exact points where your energy is slipping away, and they're the places you need to focus on if you want to reclaim your power. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about being selective. It's about taking full sovereignty over yourself. And here's one of Carl Jung's greatest revelations. When you conserve your energy, you break the projections that others place upon you. And let me tell you, this bothers a lot of people. Because once you stop reacting, once you stop feeding into their games, you enter a much darker, much more subtle territory, the realm of silent manipulation. In the next part, we'll explore how opportunistic people feed off your energy and why your unavailability completely disarms these manipulative games. You think you're in control, that your reactions are conscious choices, but the truth is much darker than you realize. Most of your emotional responses are programmed, and those who understand this will manipulate you effortlessly. Opportunistic people don't need to raise their voices or force situations. They simply press the buttons you've left exposed, and you react always. Carl Jung called this projection the psychological mechanism through which people project onto you what they can't see in themselves. But here's the twist. While others project their issues onto you, you also become the receptacle for these projections. The more emotionally available you are, the more you become a blank canvas for their images. Think about that friend who only reaches out when they're in crisis, or that partner who always needs you to save the day. Think about the person who praises you, but only as long as you're useful to them. None of this is accidental. They're not relating to you. They're relating to the idea of you, to the role you play in their lives. And why do you continue to play that role? Because you're afraid of disappointing them, afraid of not being loved, afraid of being abandoned. The most effective manipulation doesn't happen in loud arguments or accusations. It happens quietly in the silence of guilt. When you feel like you owe something to the other person, when you believe you need to be available to help, to understand, even when it's tearing you apart inside, you're caught in their trap. And here's the real kicker. The manipulator doesn't need to control you. They just need you to keep reacting the same way. But when you stop reacting, when you refuse to play the game, the whole dynamic falls apart. The power shifts. And that's when everything changes. When you start saying no, responding with silence, and withdrawing instead of explaining yourself, the projections others have placed on you begin to crumble. The mask they've created for you falls, and this leaves them unsettled because they no longer know who you are. Worse, they are forced to look at themselves, something not everyone is prepared to do. Your unavailability becomes a powerful threat because it forces others to confront their emptiness. The silence you offer reveals the internal noise they've been avoiding. Then comes the attack, the criticism, the emotional drama, not because you're wrong, but because you stop serving as their convenient mirror. Carl Jung once said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." When you withdraw, when you stop feeding the cycle, the shadow of the other person starts to emerge. For those who have always used you as an emotional escape, this is unbearable. But what about you? Are you ready to deal with the discomfort of being misunderstood, rejected, or even attacked for protecting yourself? Are you prepared to endure the silence that comes after the rupture? It is precisely in that silence that a new kind of power is born. That's what we're going to explore now. In the next part, you will understand why silence can be the most devastating weapon of the human psyche, and how it completely shifts the dynamic between you and the world. The modern world is noisy. Everyone wants to be heard, to respond quickly, to win pointless debates, and prove their point even if it costs them their peace. But there is a power that few people know, and even fewer master, the power of silence. Not the silence of passivity or cowardice, but a conscious, strategic, brutally lucid silence. The kind of silence that's not absence but an amplified presence. Jung saw silence not as a void, but as fertile ground for inner transformation. When you stop reacting, you begin to observe. And by observing, you start to see patterns that you had previously missed: emotional repetitions, manipulation games, cycles of self-sabotage. Silence allows for lucidity. And lucidity is dangerous for those who thrive on controlling you. Have you noticed how some people panic when you don't respond? When you don't explain yourself, when you simply disappear, it's not because they miss you. It's because your silence takes away their narrative control. While you speak, you remain in the game. But when you are silent, you change the rules. This unbalances anyone who thrives on your reaction. True silence isn't the absence of voice. It is mastery over your energy. It is the refusal to be dragged down by someone else's emotions. It is the conscious decision not to engage in battles that are not worth your energy. Jung said that individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, requires distancing yourself, because only in silence can you listen to yourself without the world's interference. But don't be fooled. Silence has a price. It will distance you from people who only valued you for the role you played. It will make you incomprehensible to those who only saw you through their projections. It will make you seem cold, distant, even arrogant. But all of this is a reaction from those who never wanted to deal with your depth, only with your utility. And here's the hard truth. The more you mature, the more selective you become with your words. You begin to understand that each sentence is an energetic investment, and not everyone deserves access to your truth. Sometimes, silence is not retreat, it's sovereignty. It is the language of those who no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Silence is uncomfortable because it forces others to confront their thoughts, their internal noise, and this discomfort reveals more about them than any argument could. You don't need to explain your absence. It explains itself. Those who feel threatened by it reveal how much they depend on your imbalance to maintain their control. But the most powerful silence is not the one that disturbs others. It is the silence that reconstructs you from within. This silence doesn't just leave you alone, it connects you to something much deeper than the fleeting need for external approval. It is in this internal space, free from the constant demands of others, that you begin to recover your vital energy and reconnect with your true essence. This is exactly what we'll dive into in the next part. Because it's not enough just to cut out the external noise. You need to relearn how to use your energy consciously, how to choose where it goes, where it stays, and most importantly, where it should never be wasted. It's time to learn how to be selective with your soul. True transformation begins the moment you firmly decide to become selective with your energy. This takes emotional discipline. Conscious unavailability is not about being cold, arrogant, or indifferent. It's about reclaiming your power by no longer being accessible to anyone at any time, for any reason. It's about taking control of your own energy, your own time, and your peace. And this process starts with small, powerful actions. Not responding immediately, breathing before reacting, stepping away from a discussion before you're dragged into chaos, turning off your phone without guilt, saying not today, saying I'm not interested, saying I won't get involved. But here's the most crucial part. You don't need to justify your absence. You don't need to explain your silence. You owe nothing to anyone but yourself. And this, for many people, is unforgivable. Because when you refuse to explain yourself, you take away their power to keep you trapped in an emotional narrative where you're always the helpful, understanding, and accessible one. You reclaim your power, your peace, and your authenticity. And when that happens, everything changes. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Carl Jung understood that the process of individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, goes through a phase of isolation, but not the kind of isolation that leads to depression or loneliness. No, this is a sacred isolation, a time of inner retreat where you reconnect with yourself on a deeper level. It's a time when you relearn to listen to your voice without the constant interference of the world around you. It's about stripping away the noise and distractions so you can rebuild your identity, not based on the opinions or judgments of others, but rooted firmly in your center, your truth. If you're wondering how to gauge your evolution, here's a powerful thermometer. Observe who starts to distance themselves from you when you become more reserved. Pay attention to who tries to provoke you when you stop reacting. Notice who accuses you of changing when you finally start to protect yourself, to choose your peace over people pleasing. These are not signs that you are doing something wrong, quite the opposite. They are clear signs that you've begun the process of freeing yourself, that you are stepping into a more authentic version of who you are meant to be. At first, being unavailable feels uncomfortable. You may experience guilt, second-guess yourself, and wonder if you're being selfish or too harsh. You may even feel like you're betraying your values or letting people down. But this discomfort is not only natural, it's essential. It's part of the deconstruction process. For so long, you've been conditioned to put others first, to sacrifice your well-being to please and accommodate those around you. It's a pattern that has been ingrained in you since childhood. So when you begin to break free, it can feel like an emotional earthquake. Change, especially positive change, always brings discomfort not just for you, but for everyone who has benefited from your old version. The old you, the one who was always available, always giving, always sacrificing, made others feel comfortable because it maintained the status quo. But now, as you step into the power of conscious unavailability, you are laying the foundation for self-determination. You are saying no to the world, and in doing so, you are saying yes to yourself. You are choosing your peace, your energy, and your time. When you withdraw from a toxic environment, from relationships that drain you, you are reaffirming that your inner peace is more valuable than any false connection or superficial bond. You are telling the world that you are no longer willing to be a part of unhealthy dynamics, and that you will not sacrifice your happiness for the comfort of others. And here's the beautiful thing. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your absence, you begin to earn a deep level of respect, even if it's from only a few people. Because those who truly respect you will honor your boundaries, will understand your need for solitude, and will recognize that your silence is not an absence of love or connection, but a sign of your growing strength. But not everyone is ready for this kind of presence. Your emotional absence, your refusal to be dragged into toxic dynamics, will expose wounds in others that they aren't ready to face. It will force them to confront their insecurities and dependencies, and for many, that is a painful process. Your withdrawal will reveal how much they depended on your emotional chaos to feel in control. And that's when the rupture comes, the moment when the people who have been using you consciously or unconsciously for their own emotional needs begin to pull away, lash out, or accuse you of changing. This rupture is not a failure. It is a breakthrough. It is the sign that you have shed the old version of yourself, that you are no longer available to be manipulated or drained by those who do not respect your energy. It's the beginning of a new phase, one where you are free to live authentically, to be who you truly are, and to protect the energy that is so precious to you. The rupture is the breaking of old chains, the beginning of true personal freedom, and the stepping into your full power. So, as you embark on this journey of conscious unavailability, remember this: it's not about being cold, distant, or indifferent. It's about protecting the most important thing you have, your inner peace, your energy, and your authenticity. And with the rupture comes pain, loneliness, estrangement, the feeling that you are losing something, when, in reality, you are simply freeing yourself. But what happens after that? What comes after the distancing? What is born from the silence? In the final part, we will explore this rebirth, a transformation that only happens when you have the courage to be misunderstood, to stand alone, and to become whole on your own. It's time to understand why the loneliness of the strong is the path to true freedom. When you stop being available to everyone, something profound begins to happen. First, you encounter the silence. At first, it's uncomfortable, a silence that seems to scream inside you. You start to wonder if you did the right thing, if you're being too harsh, if you're losing people who once liked you. But gradually, this silence transforms. It begins to cleanse you, calm your mind, and heal your soul. The silence is not empty, it is powerful. And then, after this silence, comes solitude. But not just any solitude, the solitude of total presence, your presence. The solitude of the strong, the solitude of one who no longer betrays themselves just to keep others close. It's in this space, once filled with confusion and noise, that clarity enters. Where there was once anxiety, peace will now settle. Where there was once neediness, a new kind of strength takes root, a strength that comes from being whole within yourself. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He said that the process of individuation, the process of truly becoming who you are, requires you to distance yourself from the collective. You must disidentify from the mask you've worn, the roles you've played, and learn to walk alone for a while. And that's exactly what happens when you choose to become unavailable. You are not fleeing the world. You are returning to yourself. It's at this crucial point that you stop being a reactor and begin to be a creator. No longer shaped by the circumstances around you, you begin to shape your reality from within. You take full ownership of your life, and you decide what stays and what goes. The people who feel uncomfortable with your absence, the ones who get unsettled by your unavailability, are revealing a painful truth. They never really wanted you. They wanted the role you played, the person you were for them. And now that you no longer fit that role, they don't know what to do with you. And this is the most liberating part of all. You will lose people, yes, but you will find yourself. You will distance yourself from places, from situations, from toxic dynamics. But in doing so, you will reconnect with your deepest essence. You will become misunderstood, even criticized. But eventually you will start to be respected, not because you seek it, but because you have started to respect yourself. And in this new place, your peace becomes your most valuable asset. This is the essence of your rebirth. It's in the solitude, the silence, the strength of knowing that you no longer need to be anything for anyone except yourself. It's the courage to be misunderstood, to be alone, and yet to stand in the power of your authenticity. And that, my friend, is where true freedom begins. And there you have it, the power of silence, unavailability, and choosing yourself. You've learned that true transformation begins when you stop reacting and start reclaiming your energy. You've learned that by stepping back, setting boundaries, and embracing the discomfort of solitude, you are not losing, but gaining something far more valuable: your authenticity, your peace, and your sovereignty. Now, I want to hear from you. What have you learned so far? What one thing will you start practicing in your life from today? I encourage you to reflect on your journey and leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you meaningful content. Thank you for watching. And remember, true freedom begins when you reclaim your peace and trust yourself. Keep choosing you. See you in the next video.